I thought I would do a little walk around the upper orchard this evening. See here, this is about a 4-year-old Gala tree on M111 rootstock. I've done a little bit of Frankensteining on it. I've got a Smokehouse. We have a prairie spy. This is a Morgan. And down here we have a winter banana. A leather jacket / leather coat. Makes for a interesting tree when it grows. Here we have another Gala. This tree came from one of the few that we didn't graft on the farm. It came from another nursery. And I've started Frankensteining this tree with a few different varieties. We have a golden wine sap and a Bisbee giant wine sap. This tree will primarily be a wine sap style tree. Got a few more going on to it this year. And then I've done some Frankensteining on this. I think this begun life as a Wolf River. But we've got King of the Pippins. And we have old-fashioned limber twig. Growing a little too vertical. Gotta try to tame this one a little bit this year. See our greenhouses in the background and a beautiful sunset. Just kind of pan around the orchard here. Got some more cleaning up to do this week. And this is just our upper orchard. Kind of what started life as our personal orchard. This is our Virginia Beauty. Hoping to get the first fruit off of it this year. This is a multi-budded, what they call a fruit cocktail tree. It's got nectarine and peach and plum and apricot on it. The peach actually has died, but I will be turning this limb, plum limb, into a new peach variety this year. Kind of a mess. It's a work in progress. Here we have a Rosa plum. Beautiful blooms. This one is, and I'm not sure. Oh, here we go. This is a sweet treat pluerry. So, hoping for some fruit, depending on what weather does. We may get some fruit off these. Some of our stone fruit varieties don't fruit every year. And that's due to the East Tennessee weather. But we're okay with that. We sell scion wood off of these trees. We graft trees and sell them also. This one's ending the end of its bloom period. I started doing some grafting over on that particular tree to some other varieties. Here we have a beauty plum. And this is a contender peach, just starting to bloom. Just starting to get some bloom on that contender. We have several across the front of the property here. Blooms are starting to pop on the peaches. This is a July Prince. This is probably, yep, this should be one of our Tiff's peach. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I do believe 6 of them here. They are a great peach. They just bloom a little bit too early for our area. And sometimes we don't get a very good crop. They're looking pretty good this year. And here we have an Arctic Fantasy Nectarine. This one last year, this little nectarine, produced a lot of fruit. It's a rose princess. But we had a lot of insect damage and fungal damage on this tree. So I ended up taking all the fruit off of it. We've sprayed it this year with an all-natural spray. It's got beautiful blooms. And this was a Stanley Plum. We're pretty confident that it's rootstock, so we're giving it another year to see what it does. But this will probably be regrafted as a Stanley Plum. Here we have a St. Edmund's russet apple tree on G222 rootstock. Starting to take shape, still a very young tree. Don't see a tag. Oh, there's our tag. This is a June Princess Nectarine. This one has not fruited yet. We're hoping this is the year for it. Depends on weather. It's absolutely stunning. And this is our autumn Rosa plum. Small tree. It ought to produce a little fruit this year. This is a sweet gem apricot, just starting to bloom. We're really hoping to get our first fruits off of this year. We've got some beautiful blooms going on here. I am just not sure. I have to consult the paperwork what variety this is. It could be rootstock, maybe one of the ones I'm regrafting this year. This is a blue Damson plum. Done some heavy cutting back on it this year, trying to get it to the shape that I want it to be. And here we've got, I can't read the tag. We got them all wrote down inside, but a little peach. Over here should be our late red, I think. Now this is our Blaze Prince. So that should be our late red. And here we're starting to get a little bit of vegetative growth. Leaves are starting to push. And this is an elephant heart. Elephant heart. So this hasn't fruited for us yet either. Hopefully this is the year for it. Got some blooms pushing here, and I'm pretty sure this is rootstock that'll need to be regrafted. And here we have, you'll see our hedgerow of apples. We have one here and one here that we are working with. These are back to back. They're slightly staggered. And we've got a bald one and a St. Edmund's russet, looking really good. This is an Ida Red. Ida Red has a fire blight resistance issue, and I've already had to cut one out, and this one will probably end up getting cut out this year, and we'll probably not grow Ida Red. We gave it a shot, but I don't think it's going to function. And here we have a honey cider. Got some nice fruit spurs on this one, so we're hoping to get some fruit off this year. That's the advantage to these dwarf rootstocks. This is a G935, a very vigorous dwarf rootstock, semi-dwarf. They produce early, so you don't have to wait as long on your fruit. And this is a black twig. It's looking real good, taking good shape. I had to modify the leader on it. This little tree is growing up doing what we want it to do, and that is an Alexander. This is a golden russet. This tree is a year younger than the others. The one that was originally planted there did not make it. This is a red pippin, also known as Fiesta. We got our first fruit off this tree last year, and it was absolutely amazing. We definitely was not disappointed. Here is a cameo tree. And then we move over here. This row is 1 year older than that row, so all the trees other than just a couple are a year older than what we just looked at. So this is a St. Edmund's russet. It fruited its first apple last year, one apple, and unfortunately somebody stole it. And then there is its brother, another St. Edmund's russet. Beautiful big apple, big beautiful apple. And this one is rootstock. This will be regrafted this year. And here is another honey cider. An amazing old variety. And this is a Bramley's seedling. Looking beautiful, beautiful apple tree. Love the growth, love the habit. You can see where we've got the limbs lightly tied down to the wire so they'll grow the way we want them to grow and do what we want them to do instead of growing up. That'll encourage them to fruit quicker and fill the space we're wanting filled. This is the Ida. This is a black twig that's had some issues. We've cut it back, seeing what it's going to do for us. If it don't do what we want, then we're going to replace it. The tree just hasn't done well. And then this is the Ida Red that we just cut out due to fire blight. Had some problems last year. We cut it back, but unfortunately didn't get it all, so we had to cut the whole tree out. Left the rootstock because the rootstock is resistant to fire blight, so hopefully we're okay there. And here's a Gravenstein. Nice big tree, beautiful. This limb, when weather starts to get a little bit better this year, we'll start to push sap. We'll pull that limb down because we don't want it growing up and competing with the leader. And here we have a rusty coat. Tree's looking good, proper shape. This is an old stark. This has been by far the most vigorous growing tree that we have planted. It's been cut back 3 times. It's really it and the G935 rootstock really have worked well together, probably too well. And this is our Granny Smith. We have another Granny Smith on the other end of the property, but this is the one up in the upper orchard. It's looking very good. And we have here this little guy. I would have to pull my books because I don't see nothing on the label there. But here's our tag on this little tree. Couldn't see it a while ago. Okay, that's our little Plumcot. It is an unnamed variety. We bought that way, just happened upon it. And I love Plumcots and pluots, and so we bought it and added it to what we've got. We've got a pretty good little collection going on with them right now. We're experimenting to see which ones will give us a decent crop in our area. They won't crop every year, we're sure, but we like them so much that if they crop every 3 years, we'll be happy. This is a John of Gold, and that's probably on an M111 rootstock. So that'll make a pretty good sized tree. That's a what we would call more of a semi-standard, I would consider, instead of a semi-dwarf, but it's the upper end of the semi-dwarf spectrum. And can't see the tag, and I can't remember which one that is, but this tree is looking very nice. We've had to tie some limbs down to cut down on the vigor in it. It's an M111 also. You can see we've got some fruiting spurs going on with this, so we're hopeful that this may produce us a couple of dozen, maybe a dozen apples this year. Would be just awesome with us. We would thoroughly enjoy it. As you can see, we let our chickens work inside of our orchard. We move them. We just moved them off of this. That's why the ground looks the way it does. They have fertilized it, obviously, a natural fertilizer, and it's way before any apples are on the property, so they can't do any damage. But they'll cut down on the bugs and fertilize the ground. Does a lot of work for us and saves you from having to spend a lot of money. There's a little John Deere 1025R, lifesaver on the property. We have here an Indian blood. This is another one. This is another one that we have not got any fruit off of yet. We're hoping this is the year for it, but as you can see, it's almost all the way bloomed out. So if we get another frost or another cold snap, it'll be no fruit on this tree. But like I said, grow them for beauty. We grow them for scion wood. We sell a lot of scion wood off of these online and through our website and our Etsy store. So it's worth it just for what it does for us. Here is a blue pearmain. It is on an M111 rootstock. As normal with M111, it takes them a while to start to produce fruit, but where we have been encouraging this to produce fruit, tying limbs down and working with it, we are probably going to get a little bit off of it this year. So we're hopeful. This is our little Honeycrisp. Honeycrisp are notorious for not growing just the greatest in the world. So looking pretty good. It took it a few years to get going. We got some fruit spurs, as you can hopefully see right there. Let's see. This should be our Macintosh tree. And I can't read the tag. See our little crevicore hiding in the background there on the scrap pile. This one we lost the tag to, so we don't know what it is. Time will tell. Back here we have, I think that is our Liberty tree. And I don't know what this one is off the top of my head. Nice big tree, good size. Again, these are on M111 here. And it's a wine sap. That's our wine sap tree. Well, one of. Wine saps are awful good about cooking with, so keep a few of them around. And I don't remember what this one is. Another young tree. That is an Asopus Spitzenberg. Tree's looking good. And nope, that's our Liberty tree right there. It produced some fruit last year, but either the chickens knocked it off or it dropped early before it was ripe. So we didn't get anything off of it. And over there is another small young Honeycrisp right there with the blue tag on it. Another pluerry. That is a candy heart pluerry. They're just beautiful when they're in full bloom. Blooms are starting to go away at this point. They've already done what they came here to do. Now it's time to push fruit. I don't see that we've tagged this one yet, so I would have to consult to see what it is, but you can see kind of open them up for an open vase. That's how we grow our peaches. That is a Belle of Georgia peach. And that is also a Belle of Georgia. It's just a couple of years older. Good looking tree. Good looking tree. This little tree had some bad growth habits that I had to correct. That is our Smokehouse. And I've got it growing back now the way I want it to grow. As you see the beehive, bees are essential for an orchard. There's the little Honeycrisp tree I was talking about. And we'll end this evening's tour with that. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you could hear me over the animals and the traffic. There is our oak tree. We just love our big oak. Before we moved onto the property, it was really the only tree to mention on the property. Everything had been cleared. A couple of small trees here and there that were nothing, and I stressed a couple, and we got one walnut tree on the property. Other than that, that's really the only tree of any magnitude on the 6 acres. And we really like our oak. It's beautiful, nice shade tree. Again, with the beautiful sunset. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.